Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Welcome back to Here We Go, and this is the second matchup between General Cteno as the vampire counts and Godwit Ivy as the dwarves. This is game 3 of the matchup. We don't have the first two games, but this one is a good 10 minutes, should keep you guys entertained, and with me to co-commentate is Savant75.
Hey guys! Really good thing to hear that this is the third game. It shows that both players know what they're doing and have already kind of learned a bit about each other. So real good and exciting to see that this is the third one.
Yes, definitely very, very true, as we're going to see both players. I believe Ivy took game 1 and then Cteno bounced back with a game 2. And now that they both kind of, looked each other over, we'll hopefully see an exciting game 3. So I am going to go over the Dwarvish comp under Cteno or Ivy. Do you remember?
I believe you said that Ivy was playing as the dwarf.
Ivy as the dwarf. Yes, Ivy as the dwarf. So I'm going to go over the Dwarvish comp, and then Savant is going to go over the Vampire Counts comp. So looking over the dwarves, on the flank here, we've got Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, Longbeards with great weapons. We got more Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. We got Norgrimling's Ironbreakers in the center, holding the line. Those are going to be hard to break, especially with their high armor stats. We got more Longbeards, Dwarf Warriors, and we have some Iron Drakes. An interesting choice, but we'll see if those work out for him. We have 4 units of Quarrelers. We have a Runesmith, Grombrindle, the White Dwarf, and we've got Dragonback Slayers in the back. So what do we have over on the Vampire Count side, Savant?
Well, from the Vampire's perspective, on the left flank, far left, we've got some Fellbats that are flying around, most likely going for some kind of flanking maneuver as what they're going to do. As far as front line goes, we've got 4 sets of Crypt Ghouls, it looks like, 2 of which have been boosted up to 3, is that bronze or gold chevrons?
Yes,
bronze chevrons. 2 or 3 bronze chevrons each. Followed with a right flank of the Tithe of Zombies and a squad of generic zombies. The second line is made up of, starting on the right side, the Corpse Cart, Stearnsman, the Graveguard special unit, set of Graveguard, actually 3 of them, a Necromancer as a hero with a Corpse Cart wagon, and our leader, Vlad von Karstein. Behind the final rank seems to be 3 sets of Crypt Horrors. Monstrous as always.
Yes, definitely. So an interesting pick we see with the Crypt Ghouls, as the Crypt Ghouls do say, they're very good against infantry, but they do have the tooltip here, weak against armor. What do you think about that pick?
Well, dwarves are known for their armor, so definitely an issue from the tooltip perspective, but I'm thinking that the idea might be to go for the first wave is simply to get those poison attacks in that the Crypt Ghouls have, and then have the Graveguard kind of mop everything up afterwards with their anti-infantry and armor-piercing abilities.
That is a very good point, actually, potentially, yeah, just for that poison. So we'll have to see what's going on here, and let's get this battle started in 3, 2, 1. Kicking it off, we do see the vampires just charging headlong towards the dwarves.
Yeah, definitely expected, because the dwarves are the ones that have the only ranged capability. You need to always, not necessarily always, but you need to rush with vampires because there's no ranged capability right now for you.
Definitely. Now, it is in their favor, though, that dwarves do not have artillery, so they don't have to worry too much. They can keep in generally compact lines.
Very true. However, I am seeing that the dwarves have taken a sort of one of their famous little shapes. The left flank is starting up with that little line up.
Definitely going into a defensive position. We can see Quarrelers opening fire on these Crypt Ghouls. He has paused a little bit away from the line, but now he's charging in.
Yep. It's a shame that those Crypt Ghouls are going to get shot at by those Quarrelers. They seem to be focusing fire, so already one of those double bronze rank Crypt Ghouls are just breaking apart.
My word, they are being absolutely floored by these Quarrelers. They are gone, crumbling already. Wow, they have lost a huge amount. They are done.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on the right side for the vampire counts, the Iron Drakes just burned down about a quarter of them again.
Wow, their frontline charge is being decimated. We do see Invocation of Nehek being popped on the Crypt Ghouls that were being hammered by the Quarrelers, but it's not going to do them much good as they are at very low health coming into this.
Yeah, it's a shame that the Crypt Ghouls have gotten hit so hard. You'd really hope that the zombies of the Tithe would get hit like this, but maybe that was it. Is the Crypt Ghouls, I believe they're a little faster, so maybe he was hoping for their increased speed to kind of get him through.
And now it does look like the front line's engaged. However, the Crypt Horrors are hanging back. It's going to take them a little while to get into position.
Very true, and we have some zombies being spawned in on top of Quarrelers already, as well as some Graveguard already hitting on the front lines.
Yeah, good play spawning the zombies, tying up those Quarrelers, because we saw how much damage they did to those Crypt Ghouls, and if they did the same to the Crypt Horrors, it would be all but over for the vampire counts. So let's go into slow motion here and take a peek at the action. We can see Dragonback Slayers going with some Dwarf Quarrelers here going head-to-head with this unit of zombies. And then in the front line, we can take a look at the carnage as the Crypt Horrors charge into combat.
And it is carnage. The Crypt Horrors are very strong, very big, and just, you know, they crush. That's what they do. I mean, you can even see some of those just bashes happening.
Yeah, backhanded swipe, just absolutely destroying these dwarves. They're trying to hold the front line. Let's go back into play, normal speed, and keep up with this battle. Savant, whose favor do you think this battle's in right now?
I love the vampire counts, but I gotta admit, the dwarves, they might be holding it today. They've got that high morale, they've got that high armor, and unfortunately those Dragonback Slayers are doing, like you said, they keep holding off that zombie offensive, keeping the Quarrelers safe.
Very true, although the Dragonback Slayers really want to be used either against Cav, except there was no Cav, so maybe it would have been a better idea to just get them on the corpse cart in the back that are just healing up the troops.
Very true, or have them try to shove into the Crypt Horrors, because while their anti-large is best against Cav, Crypt Horrors are pretty big.
That's actually, yeah, that's very true. And we can see he's doing just that. Bringing the Slayers into this group of Crypt Horrors. Quarrelers are pulling back for some shots.
Yeah. Oh, and we can see his Iron Drakes, who started off getting hit pretty hard, have pulled out of the fight and are now slamming the vampire counts in the back.
Somehow
Very
managed
scary.
to flank with Iron Drakes.
That definitely goes to show how good these players are and how well they know their comps.
Very true, and we do see Quarrelers coming in, hammering this corpse cart that's taking a lot of damage, and we see the Rune of Wrath and Ruin being cast on these Crypt Ghouls.
Very true. It's looking like the vampires are kind of pushing the dwarves back a bit. They had some good shots on the Necromancer earlier on, but it seems like they're just not being able to crush the heroes and leaders, which against vampires is a very important thing to get done.
Oh yes, and let's go into slow motion one more time. Take a look at these Norgrimlings, Ironbreakers, and Dragonbacks taking on these Crypt Horrors and Graveguard in the front lines. Just absolute devastation, but we do see Crypt Horrors falling, definitely a good thing for the dwarves. An overhanded chop coming in from these Dragonback Slayers. Oh, nope, that was him dying.
It's always good to see the dwarves holding as hard as they can, as is the part of their lore. Just the amount of morale they have and the refusal to give up, even amongst the worst situations.
And they're being surrounded and flanked, and they're just holding out here. So let's get back into normal speed. Take a look at things going around other places on the battlefield. The Quarrelers are being heavily tied up by these Crypt Horrors. Definitely not what he wants. But one unit of Crypt Horrors goes down completely, wiped out.
Definitely a painful thing to see, and it is not helping that runesmith in the middle was up until a second ago putting up an armor boost on everyone in the field. He had it just right, so the Quarrelers were getting that too.
Yeah, that's actually a very good play from Ivy here. Now, Ivy does have to. That Runesmith is really just kind of standing there doing nothing right now. He needs to get into the fight, maybe smack down on Vlad von Karstein, as Grombrindle is being slaughtered in the front line here.
Definitely a bad thing. Grombrindle going down is not very good. He is very powerful, but when he goes down, that's a big blow to the dwarves.
Yeah, if Grombrindle goes down now, this could be chaos, as the dwarves are starting to get a little overrun here. We can see the Sternsmen coming in for support, as the Iron Drakes have also been surrounded by the Tithe.
And that Runesmith's starting to get back into the fight, it seems, mostly out of the Vampire Counts deciding they want the Runesmith dead, less in the Runesmith deciding, you know what, I want to get into melee.
We do see a buff being popped here. Rune of Oath and Seal and Rune of Negation, everything they have to keep this front line together. But the troops in the front line are looking very, very battered, and as the Sternsmen come into the mix, this is looking grim for the dwarves. Savant, what do the dwarves have to do to pull this back in their favor?
I really don't know at this point. I would say at best try to regroup some of the units that have pulled back, but they keep going into full routing mode, so there's no real chance to do anything.
Yeah, that is true. We see Balance Bar heavily in the Vampire Count's favor. We see Grombrindle being run down by Vlad. At this point, really, they just need to get all their when their routing units leadership goes back up, they need to pull them all together, try to form at least a last desperate stand here, but Grombrindle goes down.
That is not a good sign, especially considering the Vampire Counts have been holding some units in reserve somehow.
Just kind of standing there in the back. Sternsmen now coming in. Iron Drakes being cast off the field.
We're looking at some of the few units that are left over. We've got two sets of Quarrelers kind of doing their own thing. And then in the center, the last few units holding it up are the Dragonback Slayers and the Norgrimlings. They just don't look like they can really save the day. They might beat this mob, but there's more coming.
And there is a group of Cryptors, 8 of them left, all just pummeling these Red and Quarrelers, but they were just crumbling and lost. They just lost all their models, and the Cryptors go down. That's another unit down. But the balance of power still not in the Dwarves' favor.
Very unfortunate. It must be that they got out of range of Vlad and the Necromancer. In fact, I think is the Necromancer gone? I don't see it anymore.
It looks like the Necromancer's potentially brought down, focus fired maybe. We see lots of dwarves running from the field. It's just a few Quarrelers standing in resistance. And in the center, we have the Dragonback Slayers fighting to the death, and Norgrimling's Ironbreakers making a good stand against the Sternsmen, doing a lot of damage.
As expected from dwarves of such high caliber.
Oh yes, definitely. They better be doing this if they're Regiment of Renown.
And we see that Vlad is pulled away from the Quarrelers. He ran up to them real quick to summon some zombies, but now he's coming right back into the thick of things to try to finish off those Norgrimlings.
Yeah, we do see Rune of Wrath and Rune being popped on those zombies. Not exactly the best target. The Runesmith has come back, but he really needs that Rune of Wrath and Rune potentially on the Sternsmen to bring them down. Because he has some... The dwarves still have a little bit of elite infantry left. And if you can bring down the vampires' elite infantry, zombies will not be holding the line for very long.
Very true. And while Vlad is very powerful on his own, he might have some trouble if what's left of the dwarves can rally.
But it does look like, as the Norgrimling's Ironbreakers are being focused, the Quarrelers are just being routed off the field by just swaths of zombies here.
Not their proudest moment, I will admit.
We see Vlad coming in to finish off this Runesmith, morale dropping.
Not even to finish off the Runesmith, he just summons some zombies and walks away.
And the Runesmith routs, and that causes a mass rout, what's left of the Dwarvish line. And we see a Pyrrhic victory for Cteno as the Vampire Counts, taking the series 2-1. This is a very interesting game as we end the replay and go into the stats here. Savant, what do you think the Dwarves could have done better in that match to pull out the win instead of being taken down in a very close fight?
I'd say some of the not to say anything too harshly, because Ivy really did do a good job here, but I'd say some of Ivy's micro needed a little work. As we commented, the runesmith kind of sat around during a good portion, which I believe was to try to keep him safe, but it may have been out of forgetfulness. And there was 1 or 2 points where I saw similar things happening, where the Dragonback Slayers had just finished up cutting through a bunch of zombies, and then they just kind of sat around for about 20 seconds doing nothing.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw a really cool moment in that battle where the Iron Drakes got into the back line and were just decimating the vampire counts, but they had no protection. They were just out in the open, subject to enemies, just swarming them, spawning zombies on them, whatever they wished.
Yeah, but what was hilarious about that was they pulled through, and they lasted much longer than you'd expect them to. As zombies kind of charged after them, they just kind of ran off and then got a couple good shots in on the Necromancer as a last little hatred bonus.
Yeah, they definitely they did quite good. We see Norgrimling's Ironbreakers doing work, 236 kills, and on the Crypt Horrors on Cteno's side, we see 152 for one of the Crypt Horrors, and then 16 and 22 for the other. So a kind of poor performance out of those two.
True. But the ones that have all the kills are the ones who got the XP rank, of course. But they probably were the ones who kind of hid in the center, while the other two probably had to deal with a lot of what was going on with the Regiments of Renown.
Very true. Yeah, definitely, and crumbled not too long into the fight. I think what Ivy could have done better in that fight, or at least to win, you should expect when going up the vampire counts that they're going to bring Raised Dead. And he had all 4 of his corollary units placed such that they could be tied down by just one zombie unit, which you definitely don't want. You want to spread them out a bit, and we saw that shortly after the frontline engagement, the Quarrelers were all tied down and were unable to fire just because of all the zombies in their back.
Very true. I think Ivy was going for a look. They're gonna tangle me up no matter what. I'll get in what shots I can, and then I'll just melee the rest of my way out. Which unfortunately didn't really work out.
Yeah, with 4 units of Quarrelers, you really can't adopt that strategy just because you spent so much money on Quarrelers. They need to be just about out of ammo by the end of the fight for them to have done work. We did see a few of them actually. They did quite good slaughtering those Crypt Ghouls. We can see one of them got 0 kills. Very unfortunate for Cteno, but he did manage to pull it out in the end. So I thank you all for watching this video, for watching this epic conclusion to match up 2 of Here We Go. We've got a lot more matches coming your way. I would like to thank Savant for co-commentating on this episode.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I could say we probably both really enjoyed this. This was a very cool battle to commentate over. And as I said, we've got plenty more coming your way. So I would like to thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers, guys.